I'm Insomniac, and this is the Blacklist Streetmatic SM014.
Oh, yo!
Insomniac.
Alright, well, before I jump into this review, I'd like to give a big shout out to, you guessed it, Jim Barry. Anybody who's been watching this channel for more than 2 videos has figured out at this point that Jim Barry has been sending in most of the watches being reviewed on this channel. If somebody would like to help release him from the burden of being the sole provider of products to be reviewed on this channel, email me at shouldItimeThis@gmail.com. and I will let you know where to send watches to lend, not to keep, obviously, to be reviewed and insured and sent back. Alright, well, let's get right into it. The case on this piece is as nice as it is simple. There's nothing remarkable about the case shape or design of the case, but the machining is well done, and the brushed stainless finish is very well executed on this watch. The sides are also brushed, and short of a faint machined line around the underside of what could be considered the bezel, it's just straight-sided and plain. The screw-down case back is brushed around the outside but polished for most of the surface area, and has information about the watch deeply engraved into it. Definitely a good quality look to the engraving. One of the best things about this case aesthetically is the crown. Not only is it a great size for this watch, but it has a deep machined pattern around the circumference of the crown, which makes manipulating the crown for time adjustments a breeze. You also have an embossed, polished Blacklist logo machined into the face of the crown, which looks great. Overall, it's not an exciting case, but it looks solid and well made, and its simplicity helps complement the dial, so overall I do like the case. The dial on this piece is clean and relatively simple, but with good attention to detail. It starts off with a carbon fiber dial, which according to the Blacklist website isn't just a carbon fiber look, but rather actual carbon fiber. The pattern to this raw carbon weave actually gives the dial a really cool 3-dimensional look that almost makes the indices look like they're floating over the carbon fiber rather than fixed to it, which is really cool. Around the outer edge of the dial you have an angled chapter ring done in Laguna Seca blue, according to the website, that's what it's called, with a white printed minute track on it, including numerals for every 5-minute interval. On the main part of the dial, you have big, thick applied hour indices with large applied numerals at 12, 3, 6, and 9. All of these markers and numerals are lume filled and bordered in a nice brushed stainless that matches the case really well. Then under the 12, you have either printed or decaled branding, the Blacklist logo, brand name and series name. Down on either side of the 6th numeral at the bottom of the dial, you have Swiss movement, which is a nod to the ETA quartz heart driving this piece. Last, you have the hands, which are perfect for this watch. The hour and minute hands aren't the most exciting hands in terms of design, but they're bold, blunt, brushed stainless hands that match the big applied markers and numerals perfectly in terms of aesthetics, and they're the perfect length for this dial. The second hand has a great shape, perfect length, and is finished in just the same blue as the chapter ring, which gives this watch just the right amount of blue to pop rather than being overdone or obnoxious. Overall, I like this dial. Simple but bold and neatly done with some sporty touches. The lume on this watch is almost excellent. The company website doesn't tell you what kind of lume they use on this dial, but as you can see here, when fully charged, it's bright and has a good even glow. I also appreciate the fact that there is lume filling in all of the hour markers and numerals in all 3 hands. Helps you find the time quickly when you're in a dark spot if the lume has a bit of charge to it. My issue with the lume here is that although it looks great when it's directly charged, and does pick up a bit of charge even from standard indoor light, it doesn't last very long. I was actually pretty surprised with how quickly this lume fades. If it had a bit more stamina to it, I'd definitely say this lume is excellent. Still not bad. Time at a glance on this watch is excellent. Despite the ends of the minute and hour hands being flat rather than pointed, it's a large, uncluttered dial with amazing contrast and hands that reach almost to the edges. It's incredibly easy to read the time on this watch at a quick glance in almost any lighter situation. Accuracy is what you would expect from a Swiss-made ETA quartz movement. I set this watch almost 2 weeks ago when it came in, and it's still accurate to the minute with 0 adjustments. The only slight criticism I have here, not unlike with most watches with deadbeat seconds, is that the second hand doesn't always stop right on the marker for that second. Sometimes it's slightly before or after the marker, which doesn't make it any less accurate, but it does affect the look of the movement in terms of perceived quality. The bracelet on this watch is just like the case, as in there's nothing exciting or remarkable about it. Visually, it's borderline boring. In fact, the only aesthetic separation between this bracelet and every other brushed stainless 3-link bracelet is the engraved Blacklist logo on the clasp. But just like with the case, it's well built, thick, solid, and robust. The weight and feel of the bracelet here balances out the case really well, and is relatively comfortable despite being fairly wide. I also found the double locking deployant clasp on this watch to feel very sturdy and secure. Overall, it's nothing special to look at maybe, but it's functionally excellent. As of the time of this review, the only site that actually has this exact watch available in this exact model code with the Laguna Seca blue accents is the Blacklist site, and they have it on there for $299. Now, if this watch had a nice automatic mechanical movement in it and had some type of other unique features besides just a pretty cool sporty dial, I'd say that $299 is a really good value here. But the sad fact is, yes, the build quality, aesthetic, and feel are all very good here, but at the $300 price point, you have a ton of options in quartz, and you even have a lot of options in mechanical watches, even from brands like Orient and Seiko, which obviously are a lot more well-known than Blacklist. Watches that are also solidly built but have better movements, have some complications. The $300 range in watches is still the cheap level, in terms of watch prices, but that's becoming a really, really competitive price point. So there's a ton available for $300. So really what it comes down to with this watch is this specific aesthetic. If you're looking for a sporty carbon fiber dial watch with Laguna Seca blue accents, well, then your picks are going to be super slim. I can't even think of another one offhand. This might be the only one, but even if it's not, there's only going to be a few of this particular combination for you to choose from, in which case I'd say it's absolutely worth considering for $300. But if you're the other 99% of people who are maybe just looking for a stainless steel, cool-looking sport watch, and you want solid build quality and clean aesthetics, well, then you really have a huge pick of the litter, and from brands a lot bigger than this, and with movements that are going to be on the mechanical side, which sadly doesn't help the overall score here. Alright, well again, a big shout out to Jim. Really appreciate him sending these watches in to be reviewed. If you have one of these or something similar, definitely leave a comment down below. Let everybody know what you think of it. And stick around. A lot more watch reviews on the way.